In this art class, we're going to take a close look at Edward Hopper's Hotel Room, a painting that demonstrates how light, perspective, composition, and color can transform an ordinary place into something with a distinctive atmosphere. After analyzing the painting, we're going to make 3 drawing exercises to understand this remarkable painting even better. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome to another art class. As usual, I'll start with an introduction about the artist, analyze the painting, and then the practical exercises. If you are a fan of these art classes, feel free to share them with your friends and family so they reach more people. Now, let's get started. Edward Hopper was born in 1882 in New York, and from an early age he showed an interest in drawing. He studied illustration and later attended the New York School of Art, where he trained under the artist Robert Henry. He remained active as an artist throughout his life, and he died in 1967 at the age of 84 years old. Hopper is associated with the American Realism, a movement that focused on depicting everyday life and ordinary subjects. His work often features urban and rural settings, including houses, hotels, cafes, and streets. Rather than idealizing these subjects, he presented them with clarity and simplicity. Hopper worked as a commercial illustrator for many years, and he didn't enjoy his work that much because he felt that he didn't have the freedom that he wanted to express himself. His success came relatively late, around his 40s, and he gradually became one of the most important figures in the 20th century American art. Throughout his career, he remained committed to his distinctive approach to light, composition, and subject matter. Now, a few curiosities. Hopper's wife, Josephine Nevinson Hopper, was also an artist and frequently posed as a model for his paintings. She also kept records about his career, about his paintings. She took notes on everything. She also kept a diary where she talks about their relationship, and the relationship was complicated, to say the least. He carefully planned many of his works through preparatory drawings before beginning the final painting. Despite the strong narratives often associated with his images, Hopper rarely explained their meaning. Today, Hopper is regarded as one of the most influential American artists of the 20th century. His paintings have inspired generations of artists, photographers, and filmmakers through their use of light, composition, and atmosphere. Works such as Nighthawks have become iconic images of American art. Now let's analyze one of his paintings. I chose Hotel Room specifically because last year I visited the Museum Thyssen-Bornemisza in Madrid, and I was very happy to see Hopper for the first time. So I bought this postcard of the painting that I keep on my wall, and I've been looking at it for a while, and I thought I'm going to make an art class about it. So now let's discover this painting in more detail. Hotel Room is an evocative metaphor of solitude, one of Hopper's favorite subjects. The painting presents a solitary woman sitting on a bed in a simple room in a modest hotel on what seems to be a balmy night. We can see she has removed her dress, hat, and shoes, and she's only in her undergarments. In her hands, she holds a small piece of paper that I will reveal its meaning in a few seconds. Even though she's physically present in this room, we know she does not belong here. Hopper deliberately leaves the narrative open-ended, and this is one of the main characteristics of his work. When I look at this painting, I wonder, who's this person? It looks like she has just arrived and she's about to leave very soon, and I wonder, where is she heading to and why is she traveling? By omitting specific clues, Hopper forces the viewer to project their own feelings onto the canvas. He In her hands, she holds a small piece of paper. It could be anything actually, because there's nothing written in it. But thanks to Joe's notes, Hopper's wife, we know that this paper is actually a train timetable. Now let's have a look at the unpacked bags sitting on the floor. They serve as symbols of transience. They immediately suggest traveling and a temporary existence in this place. Hopper uses a highly structured geometric composition. Perspective creates a clear and believable sense of space. The walls, bed, and furniture are organized using simple converging lines that establish depth and structure the composition. This careful use of perspective helps guide the viewer through the scene while reinforcing the solidity of the room and its contents. The angle from which the figure is portrayed, causing her feet to fall outside the picture plane, and the upward perspective recall certain compositions by Degas. Now let's have a look at the foreground. The heavy dark wooden footboard acts as a barrier between the viewer and the woman. It creates a voyeuristic distance because we are looking into a deeply private moment. Light in Hopper's works is rarely just another element. It is a psychological driver that, along with the framing, adds a very cinematic vibe to the paintings. The room is lit with a cold, stark, artificial light coming from an unseen overhead source. It exposes the barrenness of the room and casts dramatic shadows across the scene. The light falls strongly across the woman's exposed shoulders and legs, highlighting her physical vulnerability while casting her face into deep shadow. And this is a very important detail because it blurs her features and transforms her from a specific person that has a certain identity into someone that we cannot recognize, that could be anyone else. So it becomes like a symbol. And what makes her face look even darker is because it's against a bright white wall. And so this contrast between a white wall and a shadow face, like a dark face, makes these contrasts even stronger. So it looks like the face is even darker and it looks like the wall is even brighter. To finish our analysis, let's talk a little bit about color. Hopper uses a restrained palette of warm and cool colors to organize the painting and reinforce the effect of the light. The warm yellows and reds contrast with cooler greens and blues, creating depth and visual balance. Colors are also repeated throughout the composition, helping to unify the different elements of the scene. Now it's time for the practical exercises. They will take about an hour, and the first one is going to be a thumbnail sketch. It will take around 5 minutes. You can use graphite on a small sheet of paper, like an A6. Draw quickly, no details, just to warm up. The second exercise is a tonal drawing, and it will take around 25 minutes. The idea is to use charcoal on an A4 sheet of paper. And first we're going to make a value scale and then map the values and then make the drawing. Then the third exercise, we're going to use colored pencil. It's going to take around 30 minutes. And the idea is to only use 3 primary colors, or the 3 primary colors, and use both the warm and cool versions of it. You can do it on an A5 sheet of paper. We're going to start by making some color charts, because as we are going to only use 3 colors, we are going to need to mix some of them to create more colors. So we're going to test them first, and then we're going to make the drawing. So now grab your materials and get ready, because we're going to start drawing. already outlined the drawing and I have my scale here, and now I'm going to use a piece of charcoal and I'm going to make the value scale here, and then I'm going to map the drawing with these numbers so I know which tone should I put on the drawing. Okay, so basically this one is white, 1 is white, 2 is a light gray, then 3 is a bit darker, 4 a bit darker, 5 almost black, and 6 is black. So here's the tonal drawing, and you can see that it looks like a little bit blurry, but that's precisely the idea, because it's just to map the tones. For the last exercise, we're going to use only the primary colors, and I already have here two types of yellow, blue, and red. I'm going to use cadmium yellow lemon, that is cooler yellow. I have cadmium yellow, that is warmer, phthalo blue, that is cooler, ultramarine blue, that is warmer, and then alizarin crimson, that is cooler, and then scarlet red, that is warmer. Now I'm going to test these colors, and I'm going to mix them, for example, to create browns. So these are just some color combinations. I made some oranges, I tested some greens, and then some purples, and some browns and grays. Of course, that this is a very intuitive process, and I know that in the beginning it may be a little bit complicated to understand if it's a cooler yellow, or a warmer orange, or a warmer green, but with time and with practice, the more you observe, the more you will see the colors are actually there. So don't be afraid to play around with colors. penciled exercise is finished. I know that it's a process that in the beginning it may look like it's not going anywhere because you have to mix lots of layers of colors in order to create darker areas, to create certain colors like the browns, the greens, to create these really dark areas. But it's a process that it's very challenging, and it made me learn a lot about color. So first we made a thumbnail sketch just to warm up and to understand the composition a little bit better. Then we made a tonal drawing, starting by making this chart with different values, then mapped the drawing with these numbers and then applied each tone in the right place. It looks a little bit blurry, but that's the idea, that's the goal, because it's just to focus on the tones and not the details. And then the last exercise, we used color. It's very challenging, as I said, to use just 3 colors, but I think it's a really nice exercise and makes you really look at the colors and trying to understand if the green is warmer, if the green is cooler, and which color it needs to be added the next layer. So I hope you enjoyed these exercises. If you made these drawings and post them on Instagram, make sure to tag me so I can see them. And the class has come to an end. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, click the like button below. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you enjoyed this art class. If you have suggestions for future art classes, let me know in the comments. And of course, if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe my channel so you don't miss art classes like this and other contents related with art history and drawing. Remember, Rebellious Drawing is your art education channel on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video.